So throughout my 58 years, there has been times, even in my 20s and 30s and 40s, that I have lived alone, had roommates, been married, all kinds of situations, living conditions. And for the last at least 10, 15 years, I've been living alone. So I feel I have qualifications I have come up with some pros and cons. I think I can speak freely about it as I have weighed these out over the years, put a lot of thought into these, and it hopes to help anybody that may be looking or trying to transition into living alone, whether you have a roommate, facing a divorce, become a widow, widower, whatever your situation may be. Hoping this video will help you. And at the end, I'm going to recap it a little bit and give you some thoughts on like a little wrap up. So I hope you stay to the end. Make sure you stay to the end to hear that. So starting off with the pros, I'll do pros and then cons and then a little recap. One of the pros is complete independence in a way that I just love it so. I'm so used to making all the decisions on my own in a good way. For example, when I decided to travel the US, make that decision, I made it all by myself, and I'm truly happy how it turned out. Now, someone that may be in a relationship and is dependent on someone else, that may be hard to do or may take a little while for you to be able to make decisions like that if you've been codependent on someone else. But I'm going to tell you, it's freeing. I had even thought or had said before, man, if I had a husband or a boyfriend, I probably wouldn't be living my dream, doing this. Not to say, anything's wrong with relationships. They're just not right for me right now. Maybe someday I'll do a video how I met somebody. I don't know. Maybe never. Who knows? But for now, being able to not have to think of somebody else when I make a decision, like to travel to the United States, is beautiful, is perfect for me. I also like my dietary choices. I eat very uniquely. I eat a lot of clean. I try not to eat a lot of processed foods. But if I had somebody constantly bringing in danishes and cupcakes and cookies and maybe bringing me down in their bad health decisions, or they could bring me up, I get it. I'm very weak with food. There's a donut sitting there and one has my name on it, I'm going to eat it. I do love control of my kitchen is what I'm saying. That I only bring in what I'm going to eat. And I notice a huge difference since getting to Colorado. I've already lost 10 pounds and I feel amazing by simply stop putting bad food in my kitchen and going for walks every day. Also, my complete independence is all on me as far as like socializing, finances. I can splurge on whatever I want, and I don't know anybody an explanation. I don't even want to hear, why did you buy that? Why did you buy another box of eyelashes, Veronica? Hey, I don't owe an explanation to nobody. I do what I want, and I love Amazon. But I have also, since getting to Colorado and traveling, really working on my minimalism. Just personally, it's been very fulfilling. I don't have to explain nothing to nobody. I absolutely love that. Also, I remember when I was married, there was always that pressure because somebody decided to make holidays, huge get-togethers or parties or whatever. So I always had the pressure either entertaining a group of people or going to parties and entertainment. As far as I can remember, I always like doing my own thing. So hosting huge parties or having to, get dressed up to go to some big Christmas bash or Halloween party or something, I don't always feel like it. But then you get the peer pressure of somebody else kind of like guilting you into going and whatever. I just do what I want. I love it. I'm completely independent. Another pro is peace and quiet. I don't have the noise and clutter and chatter or somebody losing their hearing, having the TV blasting. I have not put a TV on since I got to Colorado. I never put a TV on unless somebody else, maybe I'm staying with or, for briefly we're hanging out because, I do hotel trips and stuff too. And sometimes like that, I will, somebody else in the room will have the TV blasting. Man, living alone, TV's not blasting. I don't have to worry about a lot of people chatting it up on the phone or inviting other people over. My place is always so relaxing, so beautiful, which really helps me to de-stress and relax, unwind. I love to think, and I find it very, very hard to think when there's a lot of noise clutter going on. Another pro of living alone is you get a lot of self-discovery. You can discover new habits. Yes, you can do it if you're not living alone. Sometimes it's just easier not have to explain every crazy thought you get. Like you want to try a new habit, or you want to revisit an old one that maybe you weren't able to do when it was a busier time of your life. Maybe you were raising your kids and you were trying to take, ballroom dancing or some type of, surfing, whatever, and it was just too hard. Now you can go ahead and revisit those ideas, those interests you had back then, and you don't, again, have to explain anything to anyone. You do have to get up and do them, and I've been doing those over the years. It's just second nature to me now, and I absolutely love it. The more I do on my own, the easier it gets, because I know a lot of people have a fear of like going to a movie or flying alone or traveling alone. No, it's hard to jump from, constantly having someone to a big jump like that. You got to take little baby steps and it all work out. Another pro of living alone, cleanliness and organization. I'm very big at keeping things in, everything has a place, right? And now that I've even minimized more, it would be super hard if a hoarder came into my life. I would literally, mentally, I can't think clearly, I swear. When I was younger, when I was married, of course I was younger, my husband, God bless him, was a hoarder, but he did contain it to the garage. He basically had the garage. He also had his own business in auto mechanic transmissions, and his shop was just filled with clutter, and the garage was filled with clutter, but he loved his things to the day he died. I did have one request. We bought our last house together. I said, I'm parking in the garage. It is too hard bringing groceries and these kids in when it's, raining or just yucky. I'm getting into a hot car because it's sitting outside in the driveway when we had a perfectly great oversized 2-car garage. And he did give me that, but I'm telling you, it was just enough space to make it around my car. And he did love his things to his last breath. Fortunately, when he was passing, our son, for whatever reason, decided to start purging stuff out and putting it on the curb. And on a doctor visit, my husband had seen this and almost lost his mind. I said, I didn't know Luke was doing this, our son. And I had told Luke, you got to put that back. Let him have his things. So I personally am not a hoarder, and I do love having clean, organized space down to my refrigerator, my dresser drawers, everything. Could I live with somebody a little messy? Sure. I mean, I'm not OCD about it, but living alone, that's another perk. I don't have to worry about coming home and someone has their shoes thrown over the house, clothes all over the floor, and they made the kitchen a mess and decide not to clean up after them. Socializing on my terms. I live alone. I can decide when I want to go, if I want to go to a holiday party, who I want to socialize with, male, female, doesn't matter. A group. I don't know anybody, anything. I don't feel obligated either. Now, there are some cons, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, of living alone, especially after 50. Again, 20, 30, 40s, things were a little different. But once you get over 50, there's some, things you got to be careful of. One is safety concerns, both health-wise, like a slip and fall or a break-in. So I remember about 10 years ago when I had my own real estate company, I was home alone and I was showering and I slept and I fell. My chest hit right on the tub and I was like, it hurt really bad. And I was like scared because I thought of a million different ways that could have turned out. I could have slipped and hit my head and, had the water pouring on me. I don't know, for Lord knows how long. And I wouldn't have had anybody. I mean, eventually, hopefully somebody would have been like, hey, have you seen Veronica? But I don't know, living alone, it could have been a really, really long time, and I may not have made it out. Okay, so it was just a simple slip and fall. But I know some people are in more serious situations. Some of my neighbors in the condo I sold down in Florida, many of them would wear these necklaces with a little button on it because some would actually go into like little, I don't know, they're like semi comas. There was people, the maintenance and the cam manager would do wellness checks, but sometimes it could be days, okay? But if they had the little necklace and they fell, they could push that button and then help would be on its way. So there are things to help you out. Also, security, maybe somebody's keeping an eye on you. They notice you live alone, you're old and frail. Of course, that's a concern. There's things you can do for that as well. Have people check in on you, security lights, depending on where you live. That's why I also found a condo much safer. I mean, to get to me, it would have been like a million cameras, security, gates, neighbors everywhere. I mean, you must have really wanted me if you wanted to get me at that condo. Nobody's going to do that. You're going to pick someone easier, I would think, an easier target. And that's why as we get older, we really, really got to be aware of these safety concerns and maybe start doing things to make us not feel more safe, but to be more safe. Living alone after 50, another con could be social isolation, where you'll start feeling even lonely. Many people that were with a big family their whole life, and then maybe someone passed away or a divorce or whatever happens, and then all of a sudden you find yourself, boom, alone. That can be a hard pill for some people to take, especially if you were used to the companionship. You enjoyed talking to people. You enjoyed maybe the noise in your home. Not everyone's like me. I get it. Some people may thrive off of that, and all of a sudden you're alone. That can be really hard for some. Of course, there's things you can do. You can, if you're able to get out of the house, go join, like a book club or Bible study or a church, or there's all kinds of things you can join, okay? Or maybe find some friends and call if you can't get out and see if you can start like a weekly meetup group at your home. There is ways you can work around this, or if you need to, if you just really can't get past it, you gave it all you can, and I guess go ahead and get another roommate. Good luck. Be careful, especially as we get older. That's a risk. I probably shouldn't even put that in the video because, being alone can be wonderful up to a certain age. I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm 58 and I'm finding this a great way to be, even with these cons. Another con can be finances. Earlier in the pros, I talked about, like, I don't have to worry about anybody, saying, why'd you splurge all your money on those eyelashes? Well, a con can be is you are the sole provider, and especially if you're on a fixed income or retirement, and then all of a sudden your rent or your taxes go up, and you're like, oh, it's just me. These finances aren't working. Well, I've always, for many years, I had read about, it was many years I didn't do this. I only had one source of income, and then, but eventually I had stumbled across the idea of multiple sources of income, and I always do that to this day. Now, some of my side hustles aren't necessarily going to pay my bills, but I have multiple ways coming in case one way dries up. I still have one or two other ways providing me income, which alleviates me having bills on my credit card. Maybe one source pays my credit card every month, another helps me, travel, and another helps me save. So having multiple sources of income can really help when you are the sole provider because you're living alone now after 50. Health issues can be another con, especially living alone, depending on your age. Again, back in 2020, I got sick. I had cancer. I was on chemo. It's COVID. It was just horrible. And I lived alone. And I was like, going back to the finances, like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? How am I going to make a living? I had a lot of bills, but I did have multiple sources of income, so I did get through it. Also, I had family and friends jump in to help take care of me. I never thought one time like, oh my God, I'm alone. How am I going to, get through this? That was never a problem. It was more, I was concerned about I was a lot of money going out back then, but it all worked out. Okay. So I didn't keep focusing on the negative. I focused on the positive. Health concerns can come up. Maybe you might need to, have somebody in constant touch with you. It depends on your health situation. Maybe you're 70 or 80 and, you have a lot more serious health conditions. It might be a little harder living alone. I don't know. I'm not 80 yet. I hope to make it there. I know many 80, 90-year-olds are perfectly fine living on their own. When I used to live in Daytona Beach in this townhome, my neighbor next door lived to 101. She lived alone. Of course, towards the end, she had nurses coming in all the time, but she didn't want them. She's like, leave me alone. She loved her independence. Another con I came up with is maintenance challenges, especially, again, depending on your health. But there's things I either no longer want to try and do, never could do, and I have to oftentimes hire people out. But now that I'm, basically living on the road, that solved a lot of those problems too. I don't have to worry about fixing a cupboard cabinet no more. I don't own a kitchen. But for those of you that do, I did notice as like when I had my condo, having it remodeled, I had to make all the decisions. And then I would have some maintenance issues coming up. I don't know how to fix an AC. I didn't even know how to do the bare basics. Or like I said, a kitchen cabinet or just some little handyman maintenance stuff. I always had to call someone, which I was in a financial position to do so. It was just more the aggravation of them showing up and all that junk that goes along with it. Minor, tiny things, of course, I can still do, but half the time, I don't care to do it. I'll just pay a professional. Or, like I said, living life, traveling the United States has gotten rid of a lot of those as well. Maintenance is no longer a problem. Living alone after 50, has a lot of benefits and challenges. You just have to weigh it out according to your situation, health, finances, whatever else you have going on. Maybe, again, like I said, it's all of a sudden you're finding yourself alone. But I wanted to let you know, I absolutely love it. I think you all know that. I love living alone. But like anything, there's some pros and cons. And if you have recently become alone, what are you doing? How are you feeling? I'd love to hear it. Any pros and cons I missed? We would all love to hear it. Helps us all out in the community. Thanks for watching. Till next time.